Hello there and welcome. My name is Jimmy Wikman and I'm an Atlassian expert. I've been working with Atlassian platform since 2012. And in today's video, I want to talk to you a little bit about the state of the Atlassian Assets. So the asset management application that they have bundled together with your service management. And they have recently published a new article where they are calling for early access program, and because they have made changes and they are very proud of that one. Now they have done some things recently that makes me think that asset is not in a very good state. So I want to go through this article with you and talk a little bit about my thoughts and what they have published in the past, and kind of give you my statement of assets kind of thing. So let's jump into the article and see what it is that they are actually publishing here. So this is the article then by Justin King, where he says that assets for your service management cloud is getting bigger, faster, and better. And they are now asking us to join the easy access program. No, sorry, early access, not easy access. It's not easy access. So what they are saying then is that they are first lifting up your service management a little bit and say that it's becoming more and more robust and mature. Not sure that I agree with that one. Robust is a very difficult term to use when you have bugs popping up basically every week. More mature, maybe. But they say that since they acquired then assets from Mindville, back then it was actually called Insight, and it was a very popular asset management for data center. But they have been working then to integrate this one into cloud. And they then make a bunch of claims here that they have done, and we're not going to go into those and see if this is good or bad or not. Cloud is still a lesser product than it is on data center, so they are still trying to catch up with the actual Insight product that they purchased several years ago. But they have also they have made major performance improvements. And one of them then is the AQL, where they have then removed certain things that you can no longer do anymore, because they were too heavy for the AQL. So they haven't really made any changes. They just removed things that they didn't like or that was causing performance issues. So they didn't actually solve the underlying issue. They just removed what caused problems and made the product less useful. And they also say that they made the experiences in general, that they made improvements to that. Well, debatable, and experience is a difficult thing to quantify because everyone's experience is different. But it's not bad. I will not say that they haven't done good things with assets, because they have. But one of the things that they say that as a result of then basically removing functionality, because it's not just the AQL, they have removed a bunch of other things. They have limited the number of text fields. They have limited the number of the limit of how many text you can have. They have limited the number of how many connections you can have. There are a ton of restrictions and reduced service quality that you actually get now from assets compared to last year. And they have actually reduced quite a bit. So what they are saying then that now they will be able to raise the limit of number of assets from 1 million to 3 million. I still don't get it. What is the problem of having basically unlimited assets? If you can have it in a PIM system and that can handle hundreds of millions of items, why can you not have that in Asset Manager? Why can other asset managers have a lot more than this? It does not make any sense to me whatsoever, but they are very proud over the fact that they can reach it, that they can now increase it 3 times as many in the near future. So not now. First they need to apparently get this one out. So they also say that they have made under the hood have remained fundamentally the same, but that is about to change. So they're saying now that they have rewritten the underlying structure for assets, and this is now what they want us to test. So they say that they have Rearchitect Assets, and we should then remember that they built this one from the data center version that they bought. So they actually now are actually admitting that they built it wrong when they actually built it for cloud, and now they're saying we're trying to fix it. And they also want to make sure that it can scale faster and more effectively. But they still have a limit of 3 million assets. So yeah, and they want to make sure that then the change that they're doing, the underlying architecture change, will support for many more millions of objects. That's very good. They should be able to handle at least 100 million, I think, without any problem. Otherwise, you haven't built it for scale. You need to have support for substantially larger imports. That's not really a problem that is on the asset manager itself, because it is more on the server level that you actually have this one. The restrictions are usually on the execution time, for example. So maybe they are building something that will actually partition the file that you upload and then do them in batches. Or maybe they are even doing it so you have multiple files at the same time. I don't know how they are doing that one, but for me that has nothing to do with assets itself. It is just how can the server and the scripts that actually do the import actually handle larger imports. And I have done fairly large imports into databases before, so over a gigabyte, and those are painful because the server cannot handle the execution time. It will time out. And it can also lock up the database. So this one I'm not very impressed with, not really sure, unless you tell me what it is that you're actually doing that should make me impressed. Doesn't mean much to that one. And bulk actions of a greater number of objects. Still don't get it. What is the problem for doing this one? When you are in the system and you bulk change 1 million items, it's just a matter of making sure that the scripts that execute this one are rolling sequentially, and you do them in batches, not in one. So this one should not be a problem. If PIM systems can update images, hundreds of thousands of images, adding new attributes, bulk changing the names, this should not be an issue. This is just a sign of bad architecture. So bulk actions of a great number of objects, that should have been there in the past. It should have been there when you built it from the beginning. But it's good that you now are focusing on actually doing it correctly. Increase reliability. Yeah, we need that one because I work with assets every day. And it is often that it doesn't work properly. You either have the sidebar not loading, you have the entire site will hang, and things like that. So reliability is very important because even though it doesn't actually go down, the performance is ridiculously bad sometimes. And I don't even work with more than 10,000 assets at a time. And that should not be a problem for a mature enterprise platform. So these ones are what we are looking at then. And I'm guessing this is probably the biggest problem because importing things should not be a problem. And AQL should not be a problem either. It's not a matter of actually querying things from the database that takes too long. Even if you have many joins, it should still not be a problem. That is just on the database level and the index itself. So that one is just technically poorly configured if you have problems with that one. Yes, you can get, if your result will actually result in hundreds of millions of items or even millions of items, yes, it will take a little bit of time to actually assemble that one and present it. But that's about it. You should not have any other problem. Import, like I said, should not be any problem. And also, we should remember that most people probably won't use imports directly, unless you're working in an Excel company where everyone wants to add it in Excel and upload it. Most people should use integrations, and there should be no problem there, except for this little fellow here then, API rate limits. And in cloud, there's no way to actually control these. There are no API limits that you can actually tweak or that you can actually manage. So this is on a systemic level. So this one is out of our hands as administrators. And again, this should not be any problem. This one should have its own API to begin with, and it should be able to query the database separately because assets is its own data type. So that should never be any issues whatsoever. But if they have API rate limits, then it's because it's poorly configured to begin with, or poorly built. And now they say, get involved. Let's test this new upgraded assets that have less performance issues, that is apparently built for scale up to 3 million, or perhaps even further. Let's hope that they will actually have that one. And what they are saying then is that you would be a good fit if you actively use assets. You have performance, reliability, and scalability needs that exceed what currently is providing. And what if I don't have any because it works well with my 10,000 items? Then I'm not eligible. Sounds weird. And you're open to involve or be involved in beta and early access programs to provide feedback. And then they come with this. Initially, our early access program may not support every single feature of assets. Then what's the point? I'm not going to replace my production assets with an early access that does not have all the features. That's like switching to the new workflow editor that does not have even half of the functionalities of the original one. And that's pointless because you will actually hurt your own product if you do this. So this one would then be something for people that likes to play around, and if you are working on an enterprise level and you have time to spend maybe 10, 20 hours to play around in your staging environment to test out if the new assets is any good, then you don't have enough work to do, and you should probably look into why people don't want your assistance on actually managing your platform, because this is stupid. So if you want to have an early access, at least make sure that you have all the functionality in there so I can actually replace it with my current one. I understand that there are risks with the beta program, but at least I can now see, I can test it. Because what's the point if you have, for example, I can have 1 million items, but I don't have, you don't have all the functionality for it, so I cannot test specific functionalities. That's just stupid. So, because they don't have this, they will select customers who are users of the subset of features that will initially be available, but they don't list that. So then I don't get it. How do I know which subset you're referring to and which one I'm actually going to test? So for me, this is I like the fact, and I said it down here also, I like it the fact that it's finally some good news for assets, that they are actually improving the quality of assets. Like I said here, I wish that they had done that one before they announced the incredibly stupid change that they're doing for pricing. And I also have a link here, we're going to check that one out as well. Because this one, this is the only positive thing I think I've seen for assets for over a year. And this one I'm not very impressed with. So I'm going to take you now to my webpage that I'm rebuilding, so don't worry that it looks a little bit off, and show you what I wrote about when they came up with the price changes. Because that one, I think they actually have killed assets for many users. So let me take you to that one. I'll just go through the link here. So this one is in response then to the massive price increase that they made. So let me first take you to that one. So this is what they published now then on October 4th. This is now updates to ER service management, to the pricing and packaging, and there's a lot of things in here I don't like. So for example, they are now again moving over, so free is basically pointless at this time. They can just put free and standard together because standard is the new free. You get basically nothing as the standard version. Everything is now premium. Because if you look at these changes, for example, they have now moved basically everything that they used to have now in for incident management, for example, change management. And they are now moving that one over to premium. So this is also one of those things that Atlassian have done a lot lately. That is the reduction of service. I'm just waiting for someone to sue Atlassian and say that you actually gave me these things on my standard plan, and I bought it because this was part of the standard plan, and now you're removing it, and I don't get a price reduction. That's actually a complete and utterly violation of Atlassian's, one of their core values, that is, don't fuck the customers. So they have absolutely done that here. And if we move down here, this is now where I got really upset. So they are now, first and foremost, you have to get the premium version of your service management, which is very expensive, to actually get assets. So the only reason to actually do that was to get assets in the past, because there are not that many other features that was on the premium. I'm guessing that is also why they are switching these things around. Now we don't only have to pay an insane amount of money for assets, which will be used by a subset of users, but you have to pay for everyone in your instance. And this one will now start with having, you will have consumption-based pricing. It is the stupidest thing I have ever heard in my life. And this one goes back all the way to early 2000 when the hosting services actually had this. And the reason why they are doing this one, I'm assuming, is because they are having a problem on their AVS servers, so they are being charged based on consumption, and they are selling it now to a fixed price. And they are having a problem to show how much do we actually make from this model. So they now want to have both of them being the same so they can actually show that one internally. And we have to pay for it. So what are they doing then? Well, they are saying that you can have 50,000 assets. And for anyone who thinks 50,000 assets is a lot, my very small configuration documentation for the Atlassian platform is over 10,000 items. And I haven't even started documenting yet. So if you consider, for example, if you just take that you need to have every user in a mid-sized company, let's say 500 to 1,000 users, and then every one of them will have a computer, every one of them will have a phone, every one of them will have 3 to 5 licenses. Now you're up to 20, 30,000 already, just by that one. And now you need to add all your inventory, so you need to add your infrastructure, all the routers, all the DMCs, if you have that one for financial reasons. You need to add your customers, you need to all your vendors, your contacts. You want to add different things like changes, we want to connect those, maybe we want to document them, decisions, you want to have everything that is a hardware or a software license, and contact pathways. Asset management contains so much. So 50,000 is basically saying that, yeah, you can try it out with a small subset of your items, and then you have to pay for it. So not only do we have to pay an insane amount of money to get the premium version to just get assets, now we have to pay also for how many assets we actually have in our system. And not only is this very stupid, because that will mean that I will be reluctant to add more things into my asset manager, because it will cost more money, even though I don't actually execute anything on that asset itself. It's just there. Maybe I don't even load it for 10 years. Doesn't matter, I still have to pay for it. So what I wrote in my article here is, for example, then, limit on assets doesn't make any sense, because that has nothing to do with consumption. You don't consume assets. You do executions in the AQL. That is what consumes computer power. That's what takes from the CPU. That's what takes from your RAM. That is all of that thing. It has nothing to do with the number of objects. But they can't actually tell you that, because they have no way of actually showing you how much CPU you're using, because if they do, you will probably realize how poorly constructed this tool is, or this application is. So they are saying here now then, because we are now adding more cost for you, we can now build better products. So basically what they're saying is, before you only paid a lot of extra money to get this one, and none of that actually went into assets, which makes sense because assets haven't actually had any change in a long time. And I call bullshit on this one. You don't need us to pay twice for a product to actually build things that are usable for it. You can do that with just us paying once. So either remove the license cost for it and then have it based on the consumption, or the other way around, forcing us to pay both the license and the number of assets that we have in there is double licensing. And that is complete and utter bullshit, and it goes against their own core values, don't fuck the customers. So from my recommendation, based on this, based on the new article that came out now, that they're doing early access, and they are basically saying that the old way and the old assets is not built for scale. I don't trust Atlassian to actually build it properly now either, because if they are still looking for ways to improve, and they don't have the full architecture set yet, because they are saying that in the future we will build something that will actually be scalable. So they are not building it now then, apparently. They are testing out the changes they made now and see if how much that one improves. And for me, not building an enterprise product right away when you merge it over from a very competent product like Insight was in data center, then don't make half measures. Build it properly. Don't rush it. Make sure that you build the correct solution right away. I don't like this approach that Atlassian have to give us basically prototypes and then iterate and remove functionality and then build something new and remove functionality or switch it over to another license model. It's not a good view. It's not what Atlassian should be doing. And I think for me, if you ask me right now, should you use assets in 2024 or 2025? I would say no. I love assets. It's my favorite tool of all things that I use that is Atlassian, even more than Confluence, and I love working in Confluence. But I would not recommend anyone to use it because I don't trust that it will actually function tomorrow, because they will probably remove even more functionality. I don't think it's stable enough. I don't think it has the functionality it needs to be a competent asset management system. If you want to have premium for other reasons and you want to play around with it, go ahead. But select something else if you are serious about an enterprise-grade asset manager until Atlassian can actually take this one and build it correctly, because it is not functioning the way it should right now. And if we have to double pay for it so they can actually fix it, then I don't think it's worth it. It costs too much, and they have not shown us any reason to trust their ability to build a scalable asset manager. So, is asset dead? Yeah, I think it is. I don't think anyone who is serious about asset management will continue to look at assets at this point. Maybe next year, if they come up with some serious new changes, and not just saying that, yeah, we took what we had before and we actually built it for scale now, or we did the first attempt at it. That's not good enough. You either build it for scale or you don't, and you need to be able to support infinite amount of data. You need to make sure that the architecture can support infinite number of connections anywhere and everywhere. And you need to make it more closely related to the other Atlassian tools. Why can't I, for example, connect this one with Confluence? Why is there still a 25 megabyte upload limit for attachments? Why can I not use embed, for example, content in the text box like I can for other things? Why can I not separate the different information areas into tabs, just like I can do in Jira? Because having everything in one list doesn't make any sense. There are so many things that Asset can do that would make it one of the best products ever, that everyone would want to use. And the first thing they need to do is remove this ridiculous extra cost, and then they need to build it for scale. Take it off the shelf if you have to and build it properly. But build something that I can trust, that can scale, that I know that actually works, and make sure that it actually is compliant with everything else. I don't like half measures. I don't like to be a guinea pig for you to iterate what you should build. That's not how an enterprise solution should work. So that was my ranting. I don't think Atlassian understand what they want to do with assets. I think they have not realized the potential. And they don't understand that 50,000 items is peanuts. It's nothing. So I think Atlassian is in a bad place when it comes to asset management. And I am afraid that a lot of people, when they are looking at a competent enterprise asset management tool, they will look at ServiceNow. And when they are starting to poke into ServiceNow, then they're going to get stuck, because ServiceNow is, once they got your hook into you, you have to pay forever. And they have similar capabilities that Atlassian tool have. Some of them are even extremely much better. And it's just their UI that isn't very good. So they will probably lose customers that are in the segment of looking for asset management. And that is such a shame, because it has so much potential. And I really, really wanted assets to become the tool that I think that it can be. So that's my rant for today. I am sad to see that Atlassian are continuing the trend of reducing service. They are removing functionality, moving it behind a higher paywall. and especially for assets then when they're going for consumption-based pricing, and they are doing it for virtual service agent as well, which pretty much kills that one too, because I could probably DDoS the living crap out of the virtual service agent and ruin a company just by executing this. And it's, I don't know if they thought this one through, but it is to me the most heinous move that they have done so far. And all of 2024 they have just continuously reduced the product's value for assets, and I had very high hopes for it, but I'm saddened to say that it's dead now. So with that, I guess the only thing that remains for me to say after this very long rant is that despite me basically bashing assets and Atlassian for these recent things, I still hope that you will have a great day and an awesome week.